It's only been a hot minute since the last time we got our hands on a new Far Cry title, and following a season pass content including multiple new areas and missions to play, just a few months after that now we've got a whole new title in Far Cry New Dawn, which takes place 17 years after the events of the end of Far Cry 5. And despite it feeling way too soon after the last one and still following very much the same formulaic structure to the world and missions, actually in fact Far Cry New Dawn is set in the same world as Far Cry 5 on the same map, except it's been truncated a bit and made a bit smaller by having some radioactive fields close off certain areas. And despite this, and despite that it sort of is the same map you've played on if you played a lot of Far Cry 5, the new visual style to it, due to its nuclear fallout I guess, makes this game probably better than Far Cry 5 in my opinion anyway. But still, if you've played Far Cry 5, you may be running low on fumes or at least enthusiasm for Far Cry. In New Dawn, you very typically, like, you have the bad guys, which are two twins, which are done pretty well. But like I said, no matter how good it's all done, and I'll get into why I really like the structure of how the design of this game is, it's everything you expect from a Far Cry game because it's been done before. However, here it just feels a little more concentrated and variety in terms of the ranks. So everything has multiple ranks in the game, from animals to enemies to guns to vehicles. Everything builds up and up, so you're not just in this world with the same stuff from the beginning. It builds up and there's something more to do, and more new things to explore. On top of that, you have things that just mix things up a little bit. You have expeditions, which are sort of a little bit more self-contained areas to complete. You have outposts, which give you ethanol, which is basically the main thing to upgrade your camp, which I'll get to know in a moment. And there's no currency in this game. Everything is crafting and materials. So despite there being a lot of numbers and menus, it's just all for the same thing. And just to me, it just kind of works. And the fact that you have this base, the base only has 3 levels, and each separate component only has 3 levels for the most part. So you don't feel like you just have this huge constant thing to keep building up and up. It has a couple levels and you'll get there eventually. The most fun actually you get from the game is sort of just doing the different things. You have treasures, you sort of go in and you do clues, and these things alone sort of bring a little more life to it. But that being said, it's still adding life to an almost dead thing as it is. So all it does is extend your enjoyment a little bit. Honestly, probably my favorite part is just the color. This event called the Bloom happened. So despite it being post-apocalyptic, it's still it's still really visually impressive, and I think it's why it's my favorite. It's colorful, it's different, it sort of has personality. I think that's one of the things that I think Far Cry has kind of been lacking in a lot of ways, is any sort of personality. And even if they did have personality, it was very haphazardly done, or sort of didn't go all the way through. Especially with 5, you're expecting a certain type of game, especially by the marketing materials, what they showed off, and then they kind of stepped away from it. Here it's just sort of everything's like colourful Mad Max like style, but it's totally fine. I don't know, like this is a tough one. I'm trying to think here of if it's a game to really recommend, despite it being to me easily my favourite Far Cry game in quite a while. It's still quite a tough sell. I really grew tired of 5 quite early. New Dawn has drawn me in further, and that's kind of because I know it's shorter. I knew it was shorter, and getting through things and getting closer to the end always felt like a lot more manageable, and it didn't feel like it was going to go on forever. As you travel the world, the things that I kind of hate about the old Far Cry games is you would just be bombarded by enemy after enemy after enemy, and there'd be no reason for it. They're just bullet sponges wasting your ammo. Here there are loot drops to find. You'll come across outposts and treasure chests and side missions, and hostages to rescue, and if you do that you get perk points, and these perk points sort of, it's a small enough perk wheel or sort of board, and it's fun to unlock and get new things. But it's all just done on a much smaller scale, and I appreciated that part of it, which is kind of crazy to think. Like, I was happier that the game felt a lot smaller than other games in the series, but I just sort of liked what they presented here. But to me it was more like just a fun bit of a fun extraction, sorry, a fun distraction for a short while, and I was happy to move on once it's done. Yeah, if you've started to grow a bit tired of Far Cry, there's nothing here for you. And if you just wanted a bit more Far Cry and you love the world of Hope County, you just wanted to see it look a bit different and be a bit different, that's great. You'll enjoy New Dawn. But yeah, I think a visually stunning world with a lot of great colour, but I think this is it for Far Cry. If they do make another game like this, it's game over, I think, for this series. It's just dragged on a little too long. Yeah, fun, but too many caveats to recommend, I think.